Welcome to the Scoop. World Order. Kyle McCord is officially the starter edition. We are going to break that decision down. It's probably the worst kept secret in all of the land at this point. Jim Knowles has a simpler vision of the defense. A lot of stuff was said today. We're hearing a lot of stuff from inside the Woody Hayes, so we're going to break some of that down. Watch a little bit of tape with you guys. Take your questions. So get those questions fired up in the chat. Appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, we're very thankful. We're very grateful for you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Please leave us a like. Click the subscribe button. Send this to your friends. If they enjoy Ohio State football and they love some real thorough breakdown, some real inside stuff, send it to them. Let us know what they think of it. Click that little alert bar. All of our regulars that love to see this, they see us go off on here and they jump on the show right away. We appreciate all you guys for always doing that. Shout out where you guys are from. As always, I love seeing where you guys are watching from. I see all of my Southern Ohio boys. I see my Portsmouth boys. I saw Huntington, West Virginia, right down on the river. Appreciate all you guys down there. Florida, Georgia, Texas, California, Wyoming, all over the world. We appreciate you guys so much for tuning in every single day, leaving us those likes. Comment, what was the most interesting thing said at the press conference? Was it McCord being named starter? I don't think that's very interesting because I think everybody saw that coming. Jim Knowles going simpler. I think Ryan is a little bit of consternation about that O-line, get the O-line right. I think Justin Fry is working overtime to try to get that done. But just let me know, what is the most interesting thing that you heard today? With that being said, I'm going to bring in my good friend Nevadabuck. Nevada, how are you tonight?
Doing great, man. I'm still kind of reeling by the Aaron Rodgers season injury stuff. It just bums me out. Nah, it just bums me out. I hate getting, and I wrote it on the board, but I said I hate getting robbed of these great sports moments. And I just feel like this year would have been so much fun to watch with the Jets and that defense and those running backs and Aaron Rodgers throwing it. And I hate it when good sports stories. When I told you off the air, I'm like, hey, when Tom Watson was coming up this 18th hole to win the British Open at age 59, I was so excited. I don't even like Tom Watson, but I just wanted to share the moment to have this amazing thing when this 59-year-old guy wins the British Open and he loses it in a playoff. And I don't know why that bummed me out so much, but it did, and feel the same way about this. But anyway, remarkable stuff in the press conference today. Not the McCord stuff, but I thought the Jim Knowles thing was jaw dropping. So for anybody who isn't on the Knowles bandwagon yet, listen to what he said. Listen to how he said it, and tell me how you can't love this guy, because this guy's the best.
Well, for people that didn't hear it, give a little synopsis, because obviously you're the conductor of the Jim Knowles freight train. 5 points a game is fantastic at this point. That has to be top 10 in the country. But give us a little synopsis of what Jim Knowles came to the conclusion with the media today.
Well, he said a couple things. One was kind of a short-term. They're asking him about the pass rush, and he's like, "Look, on the pass rush, the first week we played really a team that was running triple option against us, and the second week we played against a team that was running a bunch on third down, was getting the ball out really fast." And he goes, "We just really didn't have more than a handful of pure pass rushing situations, and so the defensive ends, I think they've been doing what we've been telling them to do, which is kind of what we've been saying this whole week." And so that was interesting, but. The better one was he was talking about how in the off season he kind of went through a period of self-reflection and kind of looked at his style of calling plays, and he's like, I came to the realization that I don't need to be as aggressive as I was when I was at Oklahoma State, where I was playing teams that that had better athletes than we are. I tried to amend my style to be a little more simpler, a little basic, a little less risky, and still mixing things up, but probably playing zone a little bit more for man. And that's on me, because I probably came in a little bit too aggressive and need to back it off. And I just thought it was remarkable, because he is a humble guy. He's a very reflective guy. He's a very accountable guy. And when you listen to him talk, you just realize what a great leader of young men he is, and what a great representative of the Ohio State University is. And I was rooting for him hard before that, but now, like I said, I'm all in on Knowles, and couldn't be more excited to see this defense play. That doesn't mean we won't give up a touchdown. That doesn't mean we won't give up a big play this year. But he's trying to adjust and tweak his style to kind of meet what Ohio State needs in this era of matchups and having superior talent. And I thought it was I thought it was a great moment and really a fun press conference to watch.
And any super chats we get tonight, a super chat is automatically answered. Any super chat donations will go towards buying Kleenex for Nevadabuck, so that when he watches that video and the tears start coming down his cheek and he starts getting emotional, we'll be able to keep those tears nice and dry. So we appreciate that. I think Jim Knowles realized that he's not with the Oakland A's anymore. Now he's with the Yankees or the Dodgers, and you don't have to gin it up as much anymore when you've got better players than pretty much everybody you play. I mean, even last year we had better players than everybody we played. What do you think made him finally come to that realization? The fact that he's got Mike Hall and he's got Tyleek and he's got JT, and we're getting pressure. We're not getting the sacks from the ends, but Mike Hall's got a bunch of pressures, at least one sack. Tommy Eichenberg had a sack. Actually, I'm going to go right to the film room and break this play down, because this is a great one where our defensive end, sometimes when they run these plays, your defensive end ends up being the sacrificial lamb. And this is just a real simple son. Youngstown State could have picked this up. They blew it. But still, this is an edge blitz. And you see, this is Jack right here. He's inside shade. Obviously, if you've played offensive line before and you see this alignment, we used to call this a shark. And it's just a little quick, it's a big stick down here, big stick, drop, edge. And you run it. So Jack, the defensive end who gets no sacks, takes up the guard and the tackle. So he's getting, double teamed right here, going sideways, big sticking to the A gap. And then you've got Tommy coming off the edge, and you have Sonny coming off the edge, and they don't block either of them. So basically, it's kind of funny because, Tommy's supposed to be in this gap, and then Sonny's supposed to be off this edge, but the tight end literally steps inside and avoids Tommy, which is kind of hilarious. It makes it even easier for Tommy to get home. So basically, you have two free guys off the edge. You have this poor guy, this poor tight end coming across the formation. Tommy and Sonny have full heads of steam, and they literally both kill the quarterback. But why doesn't Jack get pressure? Why does he get a sack? Why does he whatever? Well, it's because he's playing defensive end in a tight five technique, big sticking down here, taking out the guard and the tackle and the guard. Watch. So watch, where's Jack at when this is happening? He's getting double teamed by two guys, getting 600 pounds of beef pushing on him. And you see our guys coming off the edge scot-free. Because again, sometimes you're the sacrificial guy. You don't, they draw this stuff up. So Jack is not designed to get the sack here. He's designed to take out blockers. And then you see Tommy, really this is designed for Sonny to get the sack. But this guy screws the pooch so bad that he goes inside. And he's like, right here, he's yelling, look out! And our two guys kill him. But again, Jack, who doesn't do anything and doesn't have any pressure and he's not any good or whatever, he takes up the two big guys, the tackle and the guard, has to absorb a double team, which is selfless defensive football, which a lot of people don't see. Because again, when you're a defensive end or an edge rusher, like an outside linebacker, 3-4 guy, if you're an edge player, an edge pass, the only thing people look at is your sack totals. So they don't see plays like that where you sacrifice yourself and you absorb a double team so that Tommy, really it's supposed to be Sonny getting the sack, but the tight end screwed up so bad that it ended up being Tommy got home first, actually. It really should have been a half sack, but they give the whole thing to Tommy. But those are the kind of plays that people just don't see, and it doesn't show up in the box score. People look at the stats, they're like, oh, he had 4 tackles and 1 hurry or whatever, and they're like, oh, he's playing like trash. But they're grading out as champions. Again, I'm not worried about our defensive ends. JT is a monster. And again, I talk to guys that I respect in the Woody Hayes, guys in the weight room. I talk to guys that are NFL scouts. They see that guy's ability and his talent. And I'm telling you, it's coming, because this week they're going to be chucking the ball. And guess what these guys are thinking? Jack and JT are about to be pinning their ears back this week. And I can't wait to see these guys rush the passer. What are your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Well, no, you're absolutely right. And I think, one of the things that, we go back to the Knowles comments earlier about the defense, he's really stressing responsibility, gap integrity, doing your job, not freelancing, not trying to be a hero, trying to make a play, and that's the kind of stuff that's what the good defenses do. The good defenses are just very responsible. They're very gap sound. All of Heacock's defenses were for years, and people hated those. But I think plays like that are just kind of an example of the little stuff that maybe you missed the first time when you're watching the game. But I like showing the stuff like that so that people can look at it and maybe kind of reevaluate their stance on these things, because we're not playing bad. Our defense is giving up 5 points a game and 193 yards a game, and I don't care who you're playing. That's not bad. And I think this week's going to be a great test, especially coming into Notre Dame, where Hartman's going to want to throw the ball around a week from Saturday. So this is a perfect test for Ohio State, and we're going to get a chance to see, a little bit more of the pressure, a little bit more of the defensive inaction, and I think we'll see a more traditional type of game from the front four. And it's a game they have to dominate. They need to step up and play big, and they know it. And we'll review the tape on Saturday night and see how they did. But I think it's going to be good.
I agree. Like I said, I think that, these ends get whipped, man. It's funny because everybody hates our ends. I think our ends are as good as any ends in the country. And people say I'm a homer. They can say whatever. Oh, they're 5 stars. They should have 7 sacks through 2 games or whatever. But guys, well, go watch the games and go count, go get a little notepad and watch how many passes that are thrown and watch how quickly these teams are getting rid of the ball against our guys. Again, Kirk, big excuse maker, big Buckeye homer, big sunshine pumper, whatever you want to call me. I just use my eyes and I just look and I'm like, yeah, they really, teams like Youngstown State, again, it's a long season. And the one thing that Doug Phillips, who I know very well, did not want to do in this game is, take, 5 and 7 step drops and hold the ball, because he knew his tackles couldn't hold up against our ends. And if you get your quarterback killed in a game like this, then the athletic director for Youngstown State should fire you on the bus home. Because again, I'm not trying to be stupid or negative or whatever, but it's just these guys have long seasons. Indiana, when you're some of these teams that have no real chance of beating Ohio State, Indiana, Youngstown State, you want to shorten this game, take advantage of the new clock rules, get out of there healthy, take a photo of the scoreboard when it's 7-7. They got their little touchdown. The quarterback did a little penguin dance. That's the highlight of the year. They'll send that to every recruit in the country. And again, this was a good test for Youngstown State. They feel great. Hey, 35-7 against Ohio State in the shoe. Maybe the best team in the country, one of the top 5 teams in the country for sure. I'd be feeling pretty good. So we're going to go back to the lab. This is 2 plays later. This is a pass. This is legit pass rush opportunity here. So we got our boys. We got our boy JT, and we got Jack. So this is a true edge rush opportunity. You see, it's 2nd and 1,000,000, 2nd and 22. So let's see how these guys do. Okay, so JT beats his tackle out of the stance immediately. Great burst, great hands. He's gone. Quarterback's holding the ball. Jack. So Jack has to close down. Again, here's the thing. If you're playing end in Jim Knowles' defense, back to your side, you have the dive. So what do? They do a play action here. So what's Jack do? He squeezes down. He checks the back. He sees the back doesn't have a ball in his hand. So guess what? Pass rush time. Look at JT. Is he about to kill this guy? It's pretty damn close. So then you see it, and he's about an inch away from a sack fumble and everybody thinking he doesn't suck anymore. And, Jack, he sees the ball, hand come off the ball. He jumps, tries to get a deflection, and the kid pulls it down. So again, he scrambles, little completion, whatever, but that's legitimate pressure. Now, does the quarterback makes a nice play here. He feels the pressure from JT. Again, JT's burst. Watch JT's burst. This tackle is turned sideways, and he's turning the corner. He's doing what he has to do. And again, he's an inch away from a sack fumble. He almost gets his hand on this ball, and then Jack causes him to pull it, comes over here, makes a nice throw, and that happens sometimes. But again, that's really close to being a sack fumble. It's about an inch away. Now again, it's Youngstown State, Kirk, being a homer, whatever. But dude, he beat that guy out of his stance. He's got the burst. JT's a 1st-round pick all day long. He's a freak of nature. Jack is he's emerging. I think they both graded out as champions in both games. So they're doing what the coordinator wants them to do, which is more important than what people on message boards want them to do and people on Twitter want them to do. So again, they're going to say, well, they're not Nick Bosa. Oh, we're not Joey Bosa. They're not Chase Young. Well, we haven't had 3 guys like that in the history in the 120 years of Ohio State football. So stop comparing them to those guys. They're really good players. Are they Sam Hubbard? Sure. Are they guys like that? Guys, 1st, 2nd round, 3rd round type guys that could play a lot, 10 years in the league? Sure, absolutely. I think that these guys have a lot of upside. I think they're going to play big. I think that this team and this defense is going to be a lot more energized because this is a real one. Again, Western Kentucky, if you just take the name off the jersey, these guys would beat half the teams in the Big Ten. They beat South Florida. They're 2-0. They can throw the ball. They've got NFL skill guys. So again, like, no one's gonna get excited. It's a directional school. They're in Kentucky, little old dinky Kentucky, but these guys could probably beat regular Kentucky because they're pretty good, and they throw it all over the lot. They believe in what they do. So again, I think this will be a good test. And then Notre Dame, like, it'll inject jet fuel into these kids' veins because this is going to be the one. This is going to be the game of the week. This is going to be prime time in South Bend, the game that everybody's been talking about literally all summer. And I've played in those games. I played in the Texas game in 2005. I played in the game in 2006. Like, there's certain games, whether you're fans, your family, your cousins, your girlfriend's family, they only talk about like these big matchup games, early season, out of conference, that only come around once every 30 years. Like, last time we were in South Bend was 96. So, people are excited about this one. So, but Nevada, like, I mean, I'm with you. I think our defense is playing great. Again, my biggest and only stat that I care about is points per game. We give up 5 per game right now. If we do that in every game, we'll win every game till the end of time. People care about everything else. All I care about is points per game. If we don't give up a lot of points, we're going to win every game. Your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Well, I just want to go to one of your earlier points about, because I think it's a really, really good one. And I think it's an underrated one, and it's one that I don't hear a lot. And I'm going to say this at the risk of, I know the response. I already know the response before I even say stuff, but I'm going to say it anyway. The bottom line is the players aren't dumb. And it's hard for the players to really get up for Indiana, Youngstown State, some of these other teams. They know the difference. They know the difference between the games, the big games, and the exhibition games. And so we haven't seen Ohio State play at close to a juiced up level yet. And I think you're going to get some of that this week, because I think the guys know it this week. They know that Western Kentucky is formidable and it's going to present some challenges for them. And I think they really want to get after it. And then the week after that at Notre Dame, you're going to see them really juiced up. And, well, what difference does it make? Well, when superior athletes are really juiced up, then good things happen. And I think for Ohio State, that's what we've seen. We've seen a team that hasn't been – you see it all the time in the NFL. How many times in the NFL have you watched games – and seen a team open up like the first week and play, and you're like, oh my gosh, this team is the worst team I've ever seen. They're so bad. They may not win a game ever in the history of the NFL again. And then they come back the next week and they win 35-3 or something like that. It's like, it's all about motivation. And you know it better than anybody. You played, you coached, you slept walk through some of those directional games. So I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. But, you think, oh, it's only 12, 13, 14 games. It can't be that hard to get up for it. But how hard is it to get up every week to play and to play at a high level?
Well, I mean, again, in the NFL, it's like the Arizona Cardinals, everyone's called them the Tank Commanders. They trade everybody, everybody's hurt. Josh Dobbs starting quarterback. They almost win week 1 against the Washington Commanders, which, again, nobody in the world picked that. A lot of people in elimination poll were probably picking them to lose. But again, I played my senior year. We had 12 straight weeks, no bye week. We played Akron, who was terrible. They ran a funky defense, like a 3-3-5, back when that was a brand new defense. I remember at halftime, and we were probably top 5 in the country. We ended up being number 1 in the country by the end of the season. And legitimately, we got booed off the field because the score was 3-2 against Akron. Like our Jim Cordell gave up a safety to their nose guard. Our running back at tackle to the end zone by mighty Akron. And mind you, this is a team that played in the national championship game. We lost to an LSU team that was just better than we were, and it was in Louisiana. But, we were an overachieving bunch. We had the number 1 defense in the country that year, and we stunk. I mean, we stunk that game. And again, I'm not scared to say it. I mean, they're not all going to be, we had games where we were cranked up. We played Northwestern. Pat Fitzgerald talked trash to us at the Big Ten Media Day. Tress was furious about it. It was amazing. I never see Tress get mad, but he was angry. And so we hung 59. We beat him 59-7 at home. It was amazing. I mean, we just absolutely destroyed them. We played Youngstown State, beat them like 38-7 or something, 38-3 or something. So, but you have stinkers sometimes. And again, you can feel it. Again, you can tell when, again, I don't need the crowd to get me up, but some people do. Some people notice when, you go to the Skull session and it's a noon game against Akron and there's 17 people there, and there's nobody lining the team walk. And then when you do the Michigan team walk in '06, there it's 50 deep the entire way, and it's a night game or it's a 3:30 game, or when we did the Texas team walk, that was an 8 o'clock kick, and it was like, we walked at 6. I mean, it was 100 deep the whole way. So again, the electricity, the energy, going out on the field in pregame, which I never did, but people did. You see the white jerseys out there in Texas, and how big the games are. Like, it naturally just gives you the juice, And again, people think that we're robots. We're not. People think that we get excited for every game. We don't. But it's building now, because now we have a quarterback, which is a great call by Ryan Day to name Kyle McCord the quarterback. And then, we got to go now. Like, there's no, we got to go. I mean, Ryan's got to go coach football, and these guys got to go play. We got a quarterback now. There's no more scurrying around and all this. I mean, we got to take a step this week, because, I mean, the team in South Bend is going to be good. This is a much better team than last year, just because the quarterback's not going to suck. Like, last year, Notre Dame's quarterback stinks. He's a backup at Bama behind a quarterback at Alabama that stinks. So, we don't have that layup of a quarterback this year. We're going to be seeing a real dude in Sam Hartman, who's a really good college quarterback. So these guys, I think that they're starting to feel it coming in the air tonight, like Phil Collins. So, I think, but, this will be a great test for Kyle McCord and his leadership, because now he's the guy, for, walking the hallways at the Woody, before he got named it, he's still one of the guys. He's still in competition. He's probably getting asked by everybody if he's going to be the starter or whatever, but now he's the guy. So now, he's got to go be the juice maker. He's got to be, I played with quarterbacks that were just absolutely garbage leaders, and I played with a great one in Troy. I've seen JT Barrett. I've seen guys what great quarterback leadership looks like, and Kyle's got to bring that, man. And again, it doesn't matter if it's his third start. Like, he's got to act like he's the guy. And like, I tell some of these guys that weren't sure what they were doing when I was coaching, I said, just fake it till you make it, baby. Because you better act like you're the dude. Because if you're not confident, then no one's going to be confident in you. So you better go, jack it up a little bit. And I'm not saying be a clown or be stupid, but, when you're the quarterback, man, you got to be the dude. I mean, you're the guy that everyone's going to be counting on and looking to, and you got to be letter perfect in everything you do. We had a super chat, so let me get this thing going. Is it me, or is Kyle struggling to read the field? I don't know. I don't think he's had too many full field reads. Honestly, I've watched his film multiple times. Again, when you're throwing to Marvin and Emeka, generally one of those guys, if they're the primary guy, they're going to get open on, Indiana's guy or Youngstown State's guy. But, I felt like he threw it better this second game. I mean, he really made some great throws where he was really throwing it, even into tight windows and coverages. And, and he took advantage of some opportunities where guys flat out left Marvin open. He had, 2 bombs to Marvin where they let him go and he found them. And, it's easy, to see a guy running butt naked down the sideline, but, you still got to hit him. Sometimes it sounds like a stupid cliche, and it is, but, sometimes the hardest guy to hit is the guy that's just wide open. You tense up and you let it rip. And I still see Braxton in 2011 when they're up at the Big House, and DeVere Posey hit his guy with an out and up and just smoked the DB. And Braxton came out of his shoes and overthrew DeVere. And we would have won the game in the Big House. So, we would have had a 20 game winning streak or whatever, but I digress. Your thoughts on that, Nevada? Do you think that Kyle's struggling reading the full field?
I don't know if he's struggling, but he's a one-read guy right now. I mean, when you go back and you look at his throws last week, I think he came off his primary one time. And that's not a knock. That's just where he's at in his development. And I think we've talked about this, but I think that's why tempo suits him so well, because in tempo, when you're going fast, you're basically making a primary read, taking the ball and then going with it. And I think that's where he's most comfortable. I think that's what he likes to do. So, I'd say, yeah, I don't think he's not scanning the field, looking to a second, third, fourth option right now. He's kind of, one time, let her rip. And do I think that'll change over time? I think that'll change over time. I think that's a natural maturity that comes with experience and reps playing the position. But right now, he's trusting that primary read, making it and making throws, which again, you can do against the lesser teams. It's going to be a question of, is it going to come back to bite him against some of the better teams? And that's unknowable because, that's certain moving guys with your eyes is one of the most underrated things for quarterbacks. People don't ever talk about it. And when you see the great ones, do it. It's just, it's like watching a maestro conduct an orchestra, or a guy painting, or a great dancer. It's magical watching that. So I think it's something that Cal needs to get better at. But I expect that he will. He's a smart kid. He's being well coached. But right now, I mean, look, you've got overwhelming physical ability at the wide receiver position, and that's practically going to be true in almost every game we play this year. So one read's not the worst thing in the world when you see the matchup you like.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm gonna break down one more play 'cause I love the simulated pressure. Simulated pressure is where it looks like you're bringing 6, like blitz 0, which cover 0 literally means everyone is man to man. So he's man, he's man, he's man. He's got the back, and you've got. Let me clear this up. So you got your 6 guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you got 5 blockers, and you got the quarterback. So everyone's man to man, and you're bringing 6, and the quarterback better get rid of the ball faster. He's going to die. So the sim pressure is something that's been made in vogue like the last 2 years. It's basically, it looks like it's a blitz, but it's not really a blitz. You're still only bringing 4 guys. You just don't know what 4 guys are coming. So this is one, again, where you're like 3rd and 8. Okay, Jack and JT time, right? Jack and JT got to rush the passer. Jack and JT don't get no sacks, whatever. So what do? They take their 2 steps, drop into their zones. So, again, I love what they do in the middle with Steele and Tommy, because Steele and Tommy, basically, they figure out, when you're an offensive line and you're an empty, like we're an empty means that there's only 5 blockers here, and you have a back who's like lane protection. You have to slide one way. So they slide left, and then, these 2 guys have to take the most dangerous out of these 2. So it ends up being, he's looking at Jack. Jack takes a step, occupies him, and they can't make the switch because the guard the guard isn't great here. He should be a little tighter in here. So you look, and you see Tommy and Steele run a little pick play in here again, which they're really good at. And so Tommy, wedges in, and the back is trying to cut Tommy, and Tommy still gets through and pressures the throw. And it was funny because I was wondering, why did Jack Sawyer hold up right here? And I was told by someone in the Woody Hayes, he was so scared of getting a targeting call, which I totally get, because you could get suspended for the next game potentially if it's a bad one. Or you could get league discipline. Again, it's 28-7, so it's kind of, be smart. But like right here, he could have split this guy in half, but instead he just went low and JT went high, and we kind of just, we bumble it. So, again, like Jack could have killed this guy, but again, I applaud him for being that smart, because I probably would have had at least 4 targeting calls in my career that I can remember where I went right for the guy's head. I was headhunting, and you can't do that anymore, because now you risk. If it's a bad one, I mean, you could potentially get suspended. I mean, obviously you're kicked out of the game. Like, again, I applaud him for doing that. But that's like some of the stuff where, again, people, I'm going to start charting how many real pass rush opportunities do JT and Jack get during a game, because they don't get a ton. They're dropping them a lot. And again, some of that is a setup game, because now teams like Western Kentucky are going to rep that, and they're going to say, well, when they're in this formation, the ends drop, and they play the hole right here in the middle of the field, and and then guess what? Next week they'll drop the linebackers. So all week the offensive line for Western Kentucky is going to be working on this, where the 2 ends drop, and then all of a sudden Jim Knowles will drop the middle linebackers out, like and they'll drop to the same zones, because that's kind of the beauty of that. Or you put Sonny's, put JT or Jack at the 3 technique, and put Sonny Styles at the end and have him drop. Again, there's a lot of different ways you can do that, but again, you get significant pressure with 4 guys. It's just not our 2 defensive ends. It's Steele and Tommy running that pick play in the middle of the field, or in the middle of the offensive line's protection, which again, I love it, because I know how hard that is to pick up as an offensive lineman, and even more as an offensive line coach when I coach, and I'm thinking of it like, God, you'd have to rep that a lot. You'd have to, because not only do you have to rep it, but then you have to pass it off against a guy like Steele and Tommy, that are guys who are really good, they're really physical. Again, it's real easy to walk through anything. I could take, 5 of you guys or 10 of you guys and do a full walkthrough, and you guys will be like, oh, this is easy. It's real easy to pass this off. But then when you're in pads and it's 4th quarter and it's game speed, and you're playing, you got to tell your tackles, hey, you got to set back and be soft, because, they're going to run this little twist game in the middle. But then you have JT and Jack screaming off the edge the next time. It's hard. It puts these guys in terrible binds, and if they screw up, man, it's curtains for the quarterback. So, but your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Well, I just want to make sure people are aware who were watching last night. That's a different drop than the one that we showed last night. So
Oh, yeah.
they're doing it multiple times during the game. So it's like that's not the
Yeah.
same play. And you're like, oh,
No,
Kirk, you showed the
no.
play last night. No, that's a completely different play.
Yeah.
The last play he airmailed it up the left side. This one he actually made the completion on the inside. But
Yeah.
no, we're doing a lot of different things. And like you said, we're doing this spill technique where we're pushing from the inside, pushing the quarterback to the outside. And like you said, the adjustment off of that for Knowles is drop the guys from the inside pressure, bring the guys from the outside. And so, you're trying to give these guys different looks so they just don't know where it's coming from. And I tell you, the next iteration after that, watch, it's going to be side overload. It's going to be, you're going to line up 6 guys and you're going to drop both guys on the right side and rush 4 guys on the left side. There's all sorts of different adjustments you can make. You can make it outside pressure. You can make it inside pressure. You can make it left pressure. You can make it right pressure. There's all sorts of different iterations you can do off the simulated pressure, and that's what Knowles is trying to do while trying to maintain some responsibility and some gap integrity and some discipline. So no, I love what we're doing, and I can't wait to see it on Saturday because, like I said, it's very rare that you get to go up against a team that really likes to throw it, and Western Kentucky really likes to throw it. Is really good at it, and that's the perfect type of an opponent for if you're trying to get ready for a Big Ten season where you're worried about how you're going to hold up against passing attacks, how you're going to hold up against superior pass attacks. Well, we're going to see one this weekend in the shoe, and like I said, I can't believe that we're 26-point favorites. So I don't want to tip my hand as to my thing, but I think Western Kentucky is a good team. I think it's going to be a really good challenge for Ohio State, and I'm ready to go. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either. And the good thing about like when you run, these some of these sim pressures is that it gets into the offensive line's head. It gets into the offensive line coach's head when they're working through these different looks that, hey, this is what they've done. This is what they did against Youngstown, but these are some things that they could do. So then you start working on hypotheticals, which again is a total mind F if you're, a line coach, because you got to get these guys ready for anything and you got to rep it and work it. And again, these are hard to rep because you're usually working with your scout teamers who are your third string guys who, are varying levels of ability. They're walk-ons or freshmen. They can't give as good of a look. They're not as fast, whatever. And then when you get into a game and it's Tommy and Steele doing it with Mike Hall and Caden Curry as the D tackles and then Jack and JT as the D ends, like that's scary. I'm telling you, like I've done it. I've lived it. It's tough. I'm going to run one more play and we're going to get out of here because this is my favorite play of the day because I got to see my little baby, Sonny Styles. So again, back to your side. Again, you guys are in class right now. Back to your side. So JT, back to your side. What do you have? Running back. Good job. You close here. Looks like read option. What's he doing? Closing. Taking the back. It's an RPO. So he pulls it. So JT is perfect on his responsibility. Jack's running a fold game over here. And then run the flat. And then number 6, the baddest man on earth, Sonny, bounces this guy, looks down at him. It's a great photo, by the way. Sonny's just a different cat. He needs to play on every down. But again, here you see from the back end. Again, this is perfect by JT. JT closes down, back to his side. You've got the running back here, so go tackle the running back, and he does, or he would have. And then Sonny just bodies the guy. So really good show. Any final thoughts, Nevada? We'll clean this thing up, wrap it up. Appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Any final thoughts?
Well, no, we didn't even really get into the McCord being named starting quarterback thing, which was another huge development. All I'd say on that is if you want to keep Devin Brown, you better find a role for him. I do this when I coach my teams. It doesn't matter what level you're coaching at. I always try to assign everybody a role. Everybody's got to feel like they've got a part. Everybody's got to feel like they've got a job so they feel like they're part of this. And, my concern with this, with the McCord being named starter, which is great. And I think it's appropriate. And, at the end of the day, it's Ryan Day's show. He's the one who's on the line for everything. So he gets to make these calls. And I think this is probably an easy one given that you've got to play Notre Dame in 2 weeks. But find Devin Brown a role. Find something for him to do because in this age of the portal, if you just say to him, Devin, Kyle's the guy and you're going to go take a knee and, wait your time, those guys are going to be gone, and that's not a threat. Nobody cares. Nobody will be that. But it's like you don't want to be losing quality kids like that if you don't have to. If you can find a role for them that gives you insurance, it gives you a veteran, next year as a backup or whatever, because you never know what's going to happen with Kyle. I mean, I go back to Aaron Rodgers thing. Aaron Rodgers was lost for the year on the 4th play of the game on a nothing sack. So a lot can happen in a very, very short period of time. So you better keep that backup engaged. And I think the best way to do it is to have packages for him. And that doesn't mean just run only. People are like, oh, I don't want to see just the quarterback come in and then he's going to be running. I mean, Devin Brown can throw too. So like there's things that you can do with that to great effect, whether it be around the goal line, whether it be in short yardage, whether it be on specialty plays. There's a reason why teams do that. Teams do that and you think, why are they doing this where they're bringing in the second quarterback and he's handing it off and he's flipping it back? It's to keep the guy engaged. They want to keep the guy, and that's true at the pro level. That's true at the college level. It's true at the high school. It's true at every level. You want to keep guys engaged because nothing is more disheartening than going up. Football sucks as a game when you're not playing. When you're out there practicing and you're out there practicing and getting beat up, I'm not telling you anything. Like
no. This is a fantastic point by you. This is fantastic. So keep going. This is fantastic. This is inside the psyche of a team. No, seriously, keep going. This is fantastic.
No, I'm just saying, like, if you go out there and all you're doing is just getting smashed around and scout teamed and blasted and this and that, and you don't ever get a chance to go out there and play in front of your family and friends and loved ones and potential girlfriends and potential sorority hookups and whatever it is, it's a bummer. And like that's why playing guys is so good. It's so good for the team. The teams have a completely different, step and vigor and juice when guys get to play. And there's ways that you can do it. You don't have to just play the quarterback. Like, look, this isn't criticizing Ryan Day. Well, I guess it is, but it's not because I'm mad at Ryan Day or I don't like Ryan Day. But like, we didn't need to have CJ Stroud in there last year up by 50 points throwing in the 4th quarter. We just didn't. There was no reason for doing it. And like, we don't need to do that kind of stuff. We can bring guys in. And I think you've been seeing it on the defense. The defense is playing a lot of people. They're going around, and that's why they're amped up and they're juiced up. What are you seeing on the offense? The offensive line takes 70 snaps or whatever it is. The quarterback basically plays. Last week we did our thing or whatever it is. The running backs, you go a couple, maybe 2, 3 deep. Guys 4 and 5 are just sitting there going, what am I doing? They tried to get X a few touches. So I know it's harder on offense, but you got to find creative ways to do it because I think that can pay big dividends. End of my rant.
No, it's a humongous point, a fantastic point. Because again, you got to keep these guys engaged, especially at quarterback. Because I'm telling you, again, Devin came into this. Ryan gave his big spiel, week 1, where he said, there were times where each of them were pulling away from each other, and I thought you were going to be the starter, and then I thought you were going to be the starter, and then the guy would get ahead, and then the other guy would catch up, or the other guy would go down. So maybe Ryan's just lying, maybe he's just placating those guys, but I don't think he's lying. He's literally saying, Devin Brown graded out higher post scrimmages, so he had to been doing something right. So when you lose the battle, it's hard. I've lost a position battle to Ohio State, right tackle 2004, and I just kept grinding, and then eventually. Again, Kyle McCord's named the starter, and it's a double-edged sword because now you're the guy, and you got to go play like the guy. And if you don't play like the guy, then guess who's going to become the guy? Devin Brown. That's what it is. Like, again, when you write these guys in the starter, it's in pencil. Unless it's Paris Johnson or Tommy Eichenberg or some guy that's just a locked-in dude. If it's a close competition, that starter is in pencil. They could change that lineup card if you don't perform. And again, I hope Kyle McCord throws for 50 touchdowns this year. That'd be amazing. It'd be great for us, great for Buckeye Scoop, great for us as fans, because that means we're probably going to win the national title. But if you don't perform, again, if we go out and have a turd burger at any of the games coming forward, there's going to be competition. And I think that, it's important to keep Devin engaged. Again, Zach Wilson probably was a little salty that they traded for Aaron Rodgers and mortgaged the future, but in 4 plays, all of a sudden, Zach Wilson's the guy again. So, again, at quarterback, anything can happen. Again, we saw Braxton's arm fell out of the socket, and then JT broke his leg, and then, Cardell had to win a national championship. So again, better stay engaged. This is how the game is. Again, anything can happen in football, guys. And I mean, I've seen it. I've seen guys get beat out, and then when they're named starter, they suck, and then you put in the backup quarterback and he becomes really good, and then you go on a winning streak. So, again, my advice to Devin Brown would be, dude, just keep grinding, keep doing what you're doing. Actually, keep doing what you're doing, and then add like 50% more. Spend more time in the building, spend more time watching film, do more stuff before practice, do more stuff after practice. Like, again, that's what I did. Until you get to where you want to be, you got to put the hammer down and get there. So, and again, in terms of the backups not playing, it's really hard because, these guys all have families and parents and girlfriends. And, on defense, we were playing a ton of guys. On offense, we've only played 5 offensive linemen all season. We played Luke Montgomery like 4 or 5 plays as an extra tight end. These kids, they've got pride, they've got expectations. They all want to play in the NFL. And they don't want to be ERWs. You do not want to be an ERW. An ERW is the worst thing you could be in football, because it means basically if you're an ERW, you eat, which means you eat the team meal, you ride the bus over, and then you warm up, and that's it. And then after the warm up, you're done for the day. You stand there and watch, and you wave a towel and do whatever, and that's fine. But man, I'm telling you, I would have got these guys in, even if that last drive against Youngstown State. I know you're evaluating everybody, but I'd put those 2s in, man. I'm telling you, it's just the way to do it. I mean, when I played with Tress and I had a good relationship with him and Jim Bowman, especially Bowles, if we were up by 4 scores with 5 minutes to go, with Tress, he'd pull us in the fourth quarter, beginning of the fourth, if we're up by 5 scores. Our goal is to be up by 35. If we get up by 35, we're done playing. We have to go cut our tape off, chill on the sideline, figure out where we're going to go out tonight, figure out where we're going to dinner. That was like the dream. Like, I always wanted to start the game. I wanted to murder whoever's in front of me, get a bunch of points on the board, and then cut my tape off in like the third quarter, and then let everybody else play. Because those kids, some of them only get to play one play their whole careers. I had a kid, D.R. Ebner, great kid, was a walk-on, and I went up to Jim Bowman and I said, please put D.R. in for one play. It won't kill you. And he didn't want to do it. And he literally put him in for one play where he was on the backside of a run, which anybody could do. My German Shepherd could make that block. And DR ran in for one play. Then he ran right off the field. And his parents came up to me after the game, or at the at the final football banquet, and he literally said, they said that was the nicest thing that anyone ever could have done for us. Like, that one play meant so much to him. And like, I didn't want to play another play because we were up by a gazillion. It might have been Northwestern when it was 59-7. But like, I didn't want to play anymore. I was like, let these other guys play. These guys are on scholarship. These guys want to play. Like, they need, and even more important than want to play, they need to play. They need to go play in the horseshoe, because playing in the horseshoe is way different than playing at the Woody Hayes, because in the horseshoe, people are watching. And if you screw up, everybody knows. So these guys got to get used to that anxiety attack of, if I screw up in the pass pro, the quarterback dies. And you don't want that. What are you going to say about it?
I remember when Eric Parsegan was the coach, and then Dan Devine came in and was the coach, and you came in and gave your jersey and said, Coach, here, I want Rudy Rudiger to start in place of me. And that was
I want Nevadabuck in the game. Nevadabuck has to get in the game. He's got his jersey on. Nevada's got his leather helmet on, and we're going to do it. And we're going to do it he's going to run out there with Jim Knowles, and we're going to run zone defense. And I can't wait.
That was the greatest moment ever. And you and Gene Smith kind of hugged. And
I'm not giving anyone my jersey. I'm not giving it to Era or Newt Rockney or Tress. Like, they only gave me like 4 jerseys my whole career. I'm not giving those away. Are you crazy? I'm not laying it on the desk. I mean, if you do that at Ohio State, they probably keep it, and then they probably auction it off so they can like make some money off you. I know how those guys roll.
Yeah, go on eBay, look for Kirk Barton Ohio State jerseys right now. It's like there's like $7 bidding right now going on.
Hey, I bought my Miami Dolphins jersey on eBay. It was $100. It's the greatest thing I ever bought. I got my Dolphins jersey. They had my in the surplus store. It was great.
Buy it now, $9.
That's right. I know. Buy it now. Plus free shipping. It was great. You got any final thoughts as we wrap this thing up?
No, just amazing press conferences with Knowles and and Day today. Really good stuff. And I love Jim Knowles, man. I am fully on the Jim Knowles bandwagon. And toot toot, everybody's welcome aboard. I'm saving a spot for everybody, so jump on board before the train leaves the station.
Make sure you get your Jim Knowles vegan yoga mat so you're ready for Saturday. All right, we're going to wrap this thing up. This was a great show, a hilarious show. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. As always, if you could give us a like on your way out the door, that'd be huge. And click subscribe. Also, click the little alert bell so that all you regulars can get in here and kick it. We appreciate the comments have been going crazy. Thank you guys so much. If you enjoy this content, send it to your friends. Let them know. Let them know what they think. Again, we do this for you guys. We appreciate you guys so much. Again, we have a blast. If you want the best companion in the game for football season, join BuckeyeScoop.com. It's our subscription-based site. It is an absolute blast. If you guys have never been on a message board, it's fun. It's clean. It is absolutely on fire. We've never had a more active month, I don't think, in the site's history than right now. So it's crazy the amount of traffic we're getting with the quarterback deal, preseason, leading up to the Notre Dame game. Give us a shot. It's only $12.99 a month. I'm telling you, but it's once you get into it, man, you can't get off. It's crazy. I'm going to get on it as soon as I'm off here. But we appreciate you guys so much, as always. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Go Bucks.